The topic we will discuss today is Nagaland. Right? The topic we will discuss today is Nagaland. Right? So, Nagaland is one of the easternmost states of India,
Hello,
and
Sashikal sir.
Nagaland is one of the easternmost state of India, and Nagaland is affected by insurgency like the various other northeastern states of the country. Right. So as far as the you can say geographical location of the Nagaland is concerned, right? We can say that this is the you can say so this is rough map of Nagaland, right? This is not the exact map. This is rough map of Nagaland. So if I take here, here it is Nagaland, right? Here it is Nagaland, and you can say on this side of Nagaland, we can say western side of Nagaland, there is Assam, right? And on the northern side of Nagaland is Arunachal Pradesh. Right? On the southern side of Nagaland, there is, we can say, on the southern side of Nagaland, there is Manipur. There is Manipur, and on the we can say eastern side of Nagaland, there is Myanmar. Right? There is Myanmar. So this is the geographical location, and these are the neighbors of the country. Right? As far as the neighbors are concerned. So now sometimes such an important such a type of question can also be asked to you in the examination, right? IIT Public Service Commission, right? So the question is that that you can say where in the map of Nagaland, right, its capital city Kohima is located. Right, its capital city Kohima is located. So such type of Kohima is located. Such type of question can be asked. Let's suppose the first is let us take it is the east, right? You can take it east, and then as far as east, right? Then as far as this the second choice is right. Let me take it west, right? East west, and the third choice, let me take it south, right? And the fourth choice, let me take it southeast, right? In which we can say where in the map of Nagaland its capital city Kohima is located. So see, a very simple question, right? But again, this question is based on the observation, right? So if you don't have observation, you know that you can say Kohima is the capital of Nagaland. Examiner also, paper setter also, that you can say Kohima is the capital of Nagaland. Everybody will be knowing about this, right? But the only thing that paper setter would be thinking that you can say that uh, uh, paper setter would be thinking that you can say your observation may not be that much accurate or may not be up to the mark which is required, right? So two, you can say judge your observation, such type of question can be asked, right? कि जब आप चीजों को देखते हैं तो आप उन चीजों में मतलब कहाँ तक इन्वॉल्व होते हो, right? So that is important because tomorrow you will be an administrator, right? Your involvement in the things would be required, right? Without your involvement, you won't be able to solve the problems of the society, solve any problem, in fact, right? So that is why this is required. So the answer to this question is a south, right? Actually, as far as the capital is concerned, right? So Kohima is located almost here, right? Almost here. Little you can say upwards, we can say, right? So it is located almost here, Kohima, right? You can see the map. So we can say that this is the, I mean to say that such type of questions can also be asked. So it depends on you that how you can say, right? You see the map that, right? How you observe the map. So this type of question can also be asked. So these are the common things which can be asked to you, right? So that is why my sincere suggestion to you that whenever you start something, right, uh, get fully involved into it, right? So partial involvement would only lead to wastage of resources. It will carry you nowhere, right? So that is why my sincere suggestion to you. So the next thing is that we can say, so uh, Nagaland is a Nagaland, we can say, is one of the, right? So Nagaland is one of the, right? How many states of India which share border with this, we can say, Myanmar? How many states of India are there? Do you know? Is one of the, मैं यहाँ छोड़ देता हूँ इसको, states of India, right? States of India that share border with, we can say, Myanmar. How many states are there which share border with Myanmar? Do you know?
Sir, 4.
Yes, Nagaland is one of the 4 states of India that share border with the, you can say, Myanmar, right? So this is again a simple question, right? So you should not be mistaken here, right? One is Arunachal Pradesh, second is Nagaland, third is Manipur, and fourth is Mizoram, right? So these are the 4 states of India which have their border common with, you can say, this Myanmar country, right? So we can say this state is mostly mountainous, right? The state, the state is the state is mostly mountainous. The state is mostly mountainous, except areas, right? Except areas that border Assam Valley. That border Assam Valley. Otherwise, this state is, you can say, sort of the mountainous state, right? Mountainous state, right? So another important point here for your examination point of view, that is, you can say, Mount Saramati, right? Mount, we can say Saramati, right? Mount Saramati is the highest peak, you can say, in Nagaland, right? So it is located, we can say, in the eastern side of the state, in the eastern side of the state, right? And forms, you can say, natural border, and forms natural border, right, with Myanmar. Natural border with the, we can say, Myanmar, right? So इसका म्यांमार के साथ नेचुरल बॉर्डर बनाती है ये माउंट सारामती है, वो एक पीक है वहाँ, right? So it forms natural border with that, right, country. So that is why these are the things which you must bear in your mind, right? And apart from that, we can say this that according to 2011 census, right? Nagaland was the only state of India where the population growth rate was recorded negative, right? So this is an important fact, right, which you should remember. According to, right, according to 2011 census, 2011 census, Nagaland was the only state of India, right, was the only state of India where population growth rate was recorded negative, right, where population growth rate was recorded negative. So this is important, right? Population growth rate was recorded negative. So ये fact आपको याद रखना है, right? For the coming examinations, right? Till the next census, this is important, you can say. Okay, so now the next point is that there is an important figure of Nagaland, right? So its name is Rani, right? Guiding, Gaidi, NLIU, right? Rani Gaidinilu, right? So this lady, Rani Gaidinilu, right? She is an important figure of Nagaland, of important Naga figure. In fact, we can say, right, important Naga figure, right? So what is her contribution? What is her role? We can say, right? So she was honored with, right? She was honored with, right? She was honored with, we can say, Padam Bhushan, with Padam Bhushan in 1982, right? In 1982, right? And she was a Naga. She was a Naga, right? Spiritual and political leader. She was a Naga spiritual and political leader, right? Who led and we can say armed rebellion, right? Who led an armed rebellion against the British, right? So led an armed rebellion against the British, right? In 1930s, in 1930s, 30s, right? Then she was put in jail. She was put in jail, and was released only after the independence of India, right? Only after the independence of India. ठीक है? So आप लोगों ने रानी झांसी तो सुना होगा, लेकिन आप लोगों ने इसको नहीं सुना होगा, रानी गैरीनीलू को, right? So she is also an important figure, right? Her contribution in the, you can say, freedom struggle of the country, right? That is also remarkable, right? So she waged a war against the British, armed rebellion against the British, and was put in jail. And for that, she has to suffer in jail till the independence of India. And she was freed from the jail only after India, you can say, became free, after India got independence, right? So that is why this is also an important figure in the Nagaland history, right? So you must bear it in mind also, right? So the next important thing is that presently, right, Nagaland has been given, right? Nagaland has been given special status under Article 371A of the Constitution, right? 371A of the Constitution, right? So it has been given special status under Article 371A of the Constitution, right? So now we will go for a little about the political history of the Nagaland. वो नोट कर लिया था ना सभी ने, किसी का रह तो नहीं गया था नोट करने से? हेलो
Yes,
यस
sir.
सर कर लिया
Yes, sir.
ठीक है बेटा, इसको नोट करते रहना, ये आपके बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट नोट्स बन रहे हैं, बाद में नहीं मिलेंगी ये वाली चीजें, ठीक है? सो नाउ लिटिल अबाउट द पॉलिटिकल हिस्ट्री, right, of Nagaland, right? Detail we will discuss when we will talk about the insurgency of Nagaland. Here I would touch only the political history of Nagaland in brief, right? Political history of Nagaland, right? So as far as the political history of Nagaland is concerned, right? So we can say the British occupation, or we can say annexation of Nagaland, right, started in the year 1826, right? So British annexation of the British annexation, right, of the territories of Naga people started in 1826, and it was completed right, in 1891, right? So it means we can say in general that we can say that in 19th century, right? So in general we can say that in 19th century, right, the area occupied by Nagas, right? Nagas are the people, that is a you can say group of tribal communities which reside in that area, right? Century that are occupied by Nagas, right? Right, we can say was brought under the British control, right? Was brought under the British control. So इसको British control में लिया गया था, right? In the 19th century we can say, right? So now the next important thing is that before the Britishers came to Nagaland, right? Before the Britishers came to Nagaland, right? There was the we can say practice of, right? वहाँ दो किस्म की प्रैक्टिस चल रही थी, which was not means negative practices थी ये दोनों, right? One practice was the practice of head hunting, as we talked in case of Mizoram also, right? And the second was, you can say, inter-village raid, right? So एक विलेज के लोग दूसरे विलेज को लूटने जाते थे, right? So inter-village raid, right? So head hunting and inter-village raid, these were the two, you can say, negative practices in that community prevailing at that time when the Britishers came to Nagaland, right? And the Britishers banned both these practices, right? The Britishers banned both these practices, right? Both these practices. Britishers ने इन दोनों practices को ban किया, right? So now this was the brief, you can say, about this, right? So now the next important thing is that after the independence of India, right? After the independence of India, right? After the independence of India, Nagaland remained a part of Assam. Nagaland Assam state का part है, right? Assam. but in 1950s, right, 1950s में क्या हुआ, right, a strong national movement of Naga people, right, a strong national movement of Naga people emerged, right, which sought, you can say, which sought secession from India, means separation from India, which sought separation from India. वो कहते कि आप हमें इंडिया से सेपरेट कर दो, हमने इंडिया के साथ नहीं रहना, right? So then what happened? Then violent incidents took place there in Nagaland. Right? What happened? Violent incidents took place. There. Right? वहाँ violence took place there. Right? So you can say army was called in. To control the situation. Right? Called in 1955. In 1955 to restore order. To control the situation or to restore order. Right? वहाँ जो लॉ एंड ऑर्डर खराब हो गया था उसको कंट्रोल करने के लिए आर्मी को बुलाया गया. एंड इन 1957 में, राइट, सो वी कैन से an agreement was reached right, between Naga rebels or Naga leaders, you can say, and the government of India. So इन लोगों के बीच एक एग्रीमेंट किया गया, right, government of India. Now you can say Naga Hills region of the Assam, right, Naga Hills region of the Assam, and you can say that is the Tunsang, Tuensang, and the Tunsang area, right, what together brought under, right, brought under a single unit, right, brought under a single unit, right, administered directly by the center, right, so that was also done, administered directly by the center, means government of India, right. So this is the development up to this point, right. So now we can say but right, we can say the unrest continued, and Nagas became non-cooperative with the government, right, became non-cooperative with the government, right. They refused to pay taxes, right. They refused to pay taxes and kept on fighting with the army, the Indian army, right. So they kept on fighting with the Indian army because Indian army was deployed there in that region, right. They kept on fighting with the Indian army, right, right. So now then there is in 1960, right, in we can say, right, in 1960, right, another, we can say Another accord was reached. Another accord was reached. Right? You can say at the Naga Peoples, right? At the Naga Peoples Convention meeting. So इनकी कोई मीटिंग हुई थी, वहां एक और समझौता हुआ. Another accord was reached at the Naga People's Convention meeting. Right? So ये हुआ, right? Convention meeting. So what happened? You can say in this meeting, right? So in this meeting, it was resolved that Nagaland, right? It was resolved that Nagaland would be a constituent state, of Indian Union. कि नागालैंड को हम एक separate state बना देंगे. Would be a constituent state of Indian Union, right? And then what happened, beta? So as a consequence, in 1963, right? As a consequence, in 1963, right? So Nagaland was made a state. As a consequence, in 1963, Nagaland was made a state, right? And then what happened, right? In 1964, we can say, right? 1964, a democratically elected government was placed there. So वहाँ election हुए और democratic government वहाँ पर place कर दी गई, right? But even after that, the insurgency is continued till today, right? But even after that, the insurgency, is continued till today. But उसके बाद भी जो insurgency है वो आज तक जारी है, right? So we can say there is violence, right? So there are negotiations, all these things are continuing, right? So it means what is there, we can say that insurgency, violence, and negotiations, right, have become a you can say permanent feature there, right? Insurgency, violence, and negotiations, right, have become a regular feature there. Right? Regular feature there, right? And now the Naga movement has been divided into various factions. अब आज की situation ये है कि जो Naga leaders थे या Naga movement थे, जो Naga rebels थे, वो बहुत सारे groups में divide हो चुके हैं, right? So we can say Naga movement has been divided into various factions today. Right? And the problem is still unresolved. Though the government is making its best efforts to resolve it. And the problem is still, you can see, unresolved here in that, right? So this is the one, you can say, segment of this discussion. Is it clear up to this point, Peter?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is the one segment, right? So now the next thing which we'll discuss So the next thing which we'll discuss now, that is, you can say, Naga people, right? So now we will know about the Naga people, right? Who are basically the Naga people, right? So as far as the Naga people is concerned, who are they, right? So uh, right, so basically there are different groups of Naga people, right? Different, you can say, tribes of Naga people, basically, right? So Naga people are said to be of Naga people are said to be of Indo-Mongoloid, right? Indo-Mongoloid origin, right? So Indo-Mongoloid origin or Indo-Mongoloid group के लोग हैं, right? They live in northeastern hills. They live in northeastern hills, right? They live in northeastern hills of India and upper portion of upper portion of we can say western Myanmar, right? So keep it in mind that presently Naga people are found in, you can say, India, right? They are living in India, right? So as far as in Myanmar, right, in both the countries, Naga people are here, Naga peoples, right? So that's important, right? So we can say among the major tribes of the Naga people, because there are number of tribes as I have told you, right? So we can say among the major tribes of Naga people, among the major tribes of Naga people, right? So we can say of Naga people, right? The largest tribe, right? The largest tribes, right? In order, right? In order means जो सबसे बड़ा है उसको हम पहले लिखेंगे in order, right? R, right? Like यहाँ हम लिखते हैं कोनियक. So ये आपका जरूरी क्वेश्चन है, right? इसको जरूर नोट करना है. Konyak is the largest tribe. Second is the Aus, second largest tribe, right? Third is Tanghuls, Khuls, right? Tanghuls, right? And and fourth is, we can say, Semas, right? Semas is the next, you can say, largest tribe, right? And the next is, we can say, that is the Angamis. Angamis, right? Angamis, right? Actually, there are a number of tribes. I think about 60 tribes are there of Naga people, right? So that is there. Okay, so you must bear this in mind, right? So now we will move further to this, right? So move further, right? So here, right? So here now we will discuss about you can say uh, about their languages, right? So we can say that Nagas, right? Nagas speak different languages, right? Different languages, right? So their language, vary from tribe to tribe, right? Tribe to tribe, and village to village. Even village to village भी उनकी language vary कर जाती है, right? Village to village, right? For, you can say, right, for inter-tribal communication, right? For inter-tribe communication, right? For inter-tribe communication, they speak Assamese, right? So Assamese बोलते हैं, right? So English as well, right? And the official language of the state of Nagaland, official language of the state of Nagaland, right? Is, we can say, is English. English is the official language of the state of Nagaland, right? And this is one of the three Christian majority states of India, as we discussed yesterday. You know, yesterday we discussed that there are three Christian majority states in India. What are those three states? One is Nagaland. Second is, tell me. No, it is only yesterday we discussed about this.
Mizoram, sir.
Yes, Mizoram. Third was
Nagaland, Mizoram, and Assam.
no, better. You didn't note it.
Meghalaya, sir. Meghalaya.
Yes, it was Meghalaya. You didn't note it yesterday.
Noted, sir. Yes.
Okay.
Nagaland, Meghalaya, and
Mizoram. But it shows that you can say you didn't revise it, no?
Yes, sir.
So please don't do so. That is important for you only, not for me. Next is the, we can say, major occupation, right? So major occupation of the Naga community, right? So Naga people are mainly agrarian people, right? So Naga people are mainly agrarian people. They practice agriculture as their main occupation, right? Agriculture is their main occupation, we can say, right? So Naga people are mainly agrarian people, right? And we can say, and that is why we can say agriculture is their main occupation, right? So agriculture is their main occupation, right? About 70% of population, right, depends on agriculture. On agriculture. That is right. So that is why Naga community is primarily the rural community. Those people live primarily in the villages, right? So about 70% people depend on agriculture. Right? So rice is the major crop cultivated there. Rice is the major crop cultivated there. Is the major crop cultivated there. So you can say slash and burn agriculture is mainly practiced. Right? Slash and burn agriculture. Slash and burn agriculture is mainly practiced there. Right. So this we can say slash and burn agriculture is known as the jhum cultivation also. Right. Jhum cultivation also. Right. We have discussed about this, I think, many times in our lectures. Right? Jhum cultivation also. So this
South which Podo we can,
right, yes. There are different names. In Malaysia, it has different name, right? So different name in different countries, right? So we will do that in geography, right? So next thing, is it clear up to this point, Vic?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the next is that is the, we can say, Hornbill Festival, right? Hornbill Festival of Nagaland, right? So due to certain reason, this is important, that why I am discussing here, right? We will come to know about this soon, right? So Hornbill Festival as well, right? This is an annual event, right? So this is an annual event, you can say this is an annual event, which is right, which is you can say held, which is held in the first week of December, in the first week of December, right, and is organized by the tourism department of the state, So this is basically the state festival, right? Means organized by the state, not state festival. That means something different, right? So this is basically a state, organized by the state, right? So that is there, right? So what happens there, right? So in this festival, right? So in this festival, we can say in this festival, right? All Naga tribes, right? So all tribes of Nagaland, we can say all tribes of Nagaland, right? All tribes of Nagaland join to celebrate. Right? All tribes of Nagaland join to celebrate, right? They we can say exhibit, right? They exhibit their right, we can say traditional wares, right? Traditional wares and crafts, etc. So this is a sort of the promotion of their traditional wares and crafts, etc. Right? So, so the question can be asked this way, that you can say Hornbill Festival, right? Hornbill Festival is celebrated in the state of, right? So the question can be asked in this way, right? So one can be here Goa, right? So second choice can be, we can say Sikkim, right? Second choice can be Sikkim, we can say it is Sikkim, right? And we can say third choice, right? Third choice can be Nagaland, and the fourth choice can be any other state. Let us say Manipur. Right? So the question can be asked like this also. So you must be clear that Hornbill Festival is observed in the state of Nagaland, right? So this is there. So now the next thing is there mountains and rivers in the state, right? So mountains and rivers in the state. Mountains and rivers in the state, right? Mountains and rivers in the state. So now, as far as this mountains and rivers are concerned, we can say, right? So mountains and rivers are concerned. There are, we can say, right, two important mountain ranges, right? One is called the Patkai Hill, right? Patkai Hills, right? Patkai Bum लिख लेते हैं इसको, Bum, right? So it is combination of some ranges, right? Patkai Bum, and second is the Naga Hills, right? Naga Hills. So these are the two, we can say, important, right, hill ranges which fall in Nagaland, right? Which you can say occur in Nagaland, right? So are important mountain ranges of the state. We can write here are important mountain ranges of the state. Mountain ranges of the state, right? So these are the important mountain ranges of the state, we can say, right? So the average height of, right? The average height of the Kaibang, right? So the average height of Kaibang right? The Kaibang is lower than the average height of is lower than that of the Naga Hills, right? It means Naga Hills की height ज़्यादा है, right? That of the Naga Hills, right? Naga Hills, right? So we can say the highest peak of Nagaland, which is the highest peak? What is the name of the highest peak? Mount, the highest peak.
Mount Everest.
Nagaland के Mount Saramati. We just discussed in the beginning of the lecture too. Right? So the highest peak of Nagaland, that is Mount Saramati, right? So that is located in, right? Is located in the Naga Hills, right? In the Naga Hills. And the next, which is very important point to be noted, that both Patkai Bum, right? Both Patkai Bum and Naga Hills are said to be the we can say extension of Arakan Yuma Mountains, right? So ये हिमालय की नहीं है, ये बहुत important है आपके लिए, right? Arakan Yuma Mountains की ये extension है, right? So we can say actually this Mount Saramati है जो, it is located where the two ranges right is located where Naga Hills join Katkaiba, right? जहाँ पर ये दोनों ज्वाइन करते हैं, सो वहाँ माउंट सारामती है, राइट? तो वहाँ पर आपको माउंट सारामती मिलेगा at their joining point, right? At their meeting point, you will find Mount Saramati there, right? So now the next is we can say, see, now the question which can be asked to you, right? So consider the following statements and select the correct one, right? Consider the following statements and select the correct one once, right? So this question can be there in examination, right? Such type of question, I mean, right? So the first statement can be, right? So Naga Hills, right? Which are the Naga Hills, which is a prominent, right? Which is a prominent hill range of Nagaland. Nagaland is, right? Is an extension of Himalayas. Is an extension of Himalayas. This is the first point. The second is, right? So we can say that Mount Saramati is the highest peak in Nagaland, right? Is the highest peak in Nagaland. Third is that Mount Saramati lies on the border of Nagaland, with Myanmar, right? With Myanmar. So it lies on the border of Nagaland with Myanmar. You can see Mount Saramati, right? So this is the third point which can be there, right? So the fourth point we can say that, right? But Kaibam, right, is is the, we can say, right, is the higher range as compared with the Naga Hills, right? So the range of, we can say the height of Patkaibang is higher than the Naga Hills, right? So these can be the four statements there, right, which can be there in the examination, right? So इसमें से आपको it can be asked that which are the correct or false statements. Naga Hills, which is a prominent hill range of Nagaland, is an extension of Himalayas. So this is a wrong statement.
False,
But
sir.
yes,
थर्ड सही है सर
yes. But see, it is quite genuine for the examiner to put this question before you, that Naga Hills region is an extension of Himalayas, or it is an extension of the Arakan Juma, right? So you must know it. It is expected from you. The second is Mount Saramati is the highest peak of Nagaland. It is correct. It is correct, right? And the third is Mount Saramati lies on the border of Nagaland with Myanmar. It is also correct, right? We discussed it, right? And fourth is Patkaibang is higher range. No, this is wrong, right? So Naga Hills is comparatively higher in height than, right, higher than the you can say Patkaibang, right? So the questions can be molded this way also, right? So you must be, you can say, aware about all these things, right, to avoid any mistake. So that is why a lot of practice is required for you from your end also, right? So it is not like a right. So this is not a class of school level, right? That you can say teacher is teaching and near the examination, okay? I will tell you 10 questions and 5 out of the 10 will be there in the examination, and you would be able to do that, right? And you will stand in the merit. So it is not like that, right? So that is why nobody knows that what is there in the examination, right? So this is there, right? And the next is, we can say, the next is about the right. The next one important thing here is that there is one pass, right, which is known as the PANG, right? So we can say Pangsau, right? Pangsau Pass. So this is an important pass. That is why I'm mentioning here. Otherwise, there was no need to talk about the passes here, right? So Pangsau Pass, right, is an important route through. Is an important route through. It's an important route through Patkai Hills. Right, is an important route through Patkai Hills. So this is important thing, right, through Patkai Hills, right? So this is important, right? So we can say uh, there is a road which was constructed during the World War II, right? So we can say the name of that road is Lido Road, right? Lido Road that was built built during, right, that was built during the World War II. That was built during the World War II, right? Runs through this pass. It runs through this pass. So इस pass के through जाती है. Pass means दर्रा, right? जो hills के बीच में गुजरने के लिए रास्ता होता है, right? उसको हम pass बोलते हैं, right? So we can say the Lido Road connects, right? Lido Road connects. There is that Lido Road connects. Connects Lido in Assam. This is name of a place, right? Lido in Assam to Kunming in China. To Kunming in China, right? Kunming in China. we can say via Myanmar, right? Via Myanmar. So this is there, right? So it goes there, right? Kunming in China via Myanmar, we can say, right? So this is again important, right? So via Myanmar, right? So this is the important thing here, right? So is it clear up to this point? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, all right. So now the next thing is that uh, about the rivers in the state, right? So about the rivers in the state, right? About the rivers in the state. So as far as the rivers of the state are concerned, right? So there are, we can say, let us take that rivers of the northern part, right? So rivers of the northern part include, one is the Toyang River, Toyang. No need to remember this, right? So this will not be asked, right? Until and unless something special happens there, right? And both are not required, right? To be kept in memory. The next is, we can say, the river of southwest, right? River of southwest of Nagaland. So this is the, you can say, Barak River. This is an important river, you know, Barak River, right? So Barak River. And next is the southeast, right? So rivers in southeast, right? So these are, we can say, the tributaries of tributaries of we can say tributaries of Chinven River of Myanmar, right? So Myanmar में एक चिनविन river है, so उसकी tributaries निकलती है इस तरह, right? So these are the rivers of the, you can say, state, right? So the next point.
Sir, एक second.
Okay. No.
हो गया जी.
So the next is that the next is about the, we can say, minerals found in the state, right? Minerals. So as far as the minerals are concerned, the important minerals found there are, you can say, that is chromium, and there is nickel, chromium, nickel, and then cobalt, and then after cobalt there is, we can say, iron ore. Iron ore is there, right? And then after iron ore, there is limestone, which is found there. Limestone is also found there, right? And as well as the coal is concerned, we can say low grade coal is found there, right? Low grade coal is found there, right? So low grade coal is found there, right? So it is thought that there are it is thought that there are exploitable, right? There are exploitable reserves of oil also in the state, right? There are exploitable reserves also, oil reserves also in the state, right? So as far as the transport is concerned, all the, you can say, three modes of transport, rail, road, and the air transport is there, right? So railway line extends up to Dimapur, which is a town of Nagaland, city of Nagaland, right? Up to Dimapur is there. Dimapur, Dimapur, right? So it is up to Dimapur, right? So now The next is, you can say, as far as that is the next thing which we'll discuss, that is the administration, right? So administration, right? So administration, right? So as far as administration of the state is concerned, right? So administration, right? So tribal communities of Nagaland enjoy fair degree of autonomy. Tribal communities of Nagaland enjoy fair degree of good degree of reasonable degree of autonomy. We can say, right? Fair degree of autonomy, reasonable degree of autonomy. So they enjoy that, right? Degree of autonomy. So this is they enjoy that, right? So each tribe, we can say, right? So each tribe has a hierarchy of councils. Hierarchy of councils. So हर एक tribe के अंदर एक council की अपनी hierarchy बनी हुई है, right? Hierarchy of councils, right? So these councils deal with disputes. These councils deal with disputes. These councils deal with the disputes, we can say, arising from the breach of customary laws, right? जो उनके अपने customary laws हैं, जब उनकी वायोलेशन होती है तब ये काउंसिल उससे रिलेटेड जो डिस्प्यूट्स हैं उनको रिजॉल्व करती है, राइट? ब्रीच ऑफ customary laws, right? And we can say, right, appeals to such decisions, right? Appeals to such cases, we can say, right? Appeals to such cases, right? Appeals to such cases are made to, we can say, Naga tribunal, are made to Naga tribunal, right? So Naga tribunal है, so इन councils का जो decision होता है उनसे अगर भी satisfied नहीं होता तो वहां जाकर के appeal करते हैं, right? So you can appeal. So this was a brief about the administration, right? The rest of the administration as normal, like in our states, it goes there, right? So the next thing is that, we can say that women, right, in Naga communities, right, enjoy, we can say, right, enjoy respectable position, enjoy respectable position, right? Enjoy respectable position, right? So they work in fields on equal terms with men, right? They work in fields on equal terms with men, right? And have a considerable influence, in tribal councils also, right? So they have presence there also in the tribal councils also, right? Tribal councils also, right? So next, which is another important fact which you should bear in mind, that Kohima right? Kohima, the capital of Nagaland. Kohima, the capital of Nagaland, right? Nagaland remained, right? Remained one of the battle spots, right? One of the battle spots in World War II. So यहाँ भी लड़ी गई थी World War, right? One of the battle spots in World War II, right? The battle was fought. The battle was fought here, right? So the battle was, you can see, the battle was fought here between April 4 and 22. Right? Between April 4 and between April 4 and 22 June of 1944. Right, so this was the period when the battle was fought there in Kohima also. In Kohima also, right? So you can say in this battle, right? In this battle, you can say the Japanese army and the Indian National Army led by Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose and the Indian National Army, right? So they received a Indian National Army received a major setback. So इनको setback right? Major setback. It is said that about 50% of the personnel of the Japanese army deployed there, those were, you can say, uh, they lost their lives, right? Some in the battle and some while crossing over to the Myanmar, right? Due to the difficult terrain over there, right? So major setback they got there, right? So you can say then, right? So in 1946, right? In 1946, you can say, right? In 1946, Naga National Council. So we will, I will tell you later in the lecture that what is the Naga National Council, right? Naga National Council, right? Submitted, you can say a memorandum, submitted a memorandum to Pandit Nehru. Pandit Nehru means Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, right? मैं JL Nehru लिख देता हूँ, कहीं मोतीलाल नेहरू नहीं समझ लेना, right? Memorandum to Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, right? And expressed their interest, right, to be a part of Indian Union, to be a part of Indian Union, right? वो कहते हैं हम इंडिया में शामिल तो हो जाएंगे, but हमारी कुछ ये conditions हैं, right? To be a part of Indian Union, right? With the following privileges. With the following privileges here. EG is right with the following privileges. So as far as the privileges is concerned, number one, right? So वो कहते हैं कि one, we will be requiring the autonomous status, right? हमें एक autonomous status चाहिए होगा हम अगर इंडिया में शामिल होते हैं तो. One is that, right? And second, separate electorate for Nagas. Separate electorate for Nagas. Separate electorate for Nagas, right? So separate electorate means that there will be some seats, right, in the legislature. Some seats in the legislature. Will be for Nagas. Will be for Nagas, and only Nagas, right, would be allowed to, right, would be allowed to vote in their election, right, in their election. So this is what we mean by the separate electorate, right? So ये उन्होंने मांगा कि हमें separate electorate मिलना चाहिए. And the next thing, number 3, right? Number 3, what they demanded, that was the, we can say, they demanded the safeguards also. So we require certain safeguards also, right? So this is there. So what was the reaction of Nehru on this? Right? So Nehru responded positively, right? Nehru responded positively. Nehru responded positively. Nehru responded positively and invited Nagas for talks. Invited Nagas for talks. उनको invite किया और बातचीत के लिए बुलाया. Invited Nagas for talks. Right. So next is in 1946. Right. In 1946, Naga National Council, NNC Naga National Council before, right? Naga National Council submitted before, that is submitted before, right? Naga National Council submitted before the British Cabinet Mission. British Cabinet Mission आया था भारत में, ये हम हिस्ट्री में पढ़ेंगे, right? Submitted before the British Cabinet Mission, right? That Nagas would not be, that Nagas would not be, that Nagas, we can say, would not be any, would not be bound by any, we can say, arbitrary decision, right? Decision of the British. वो कहते कि ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट ऐसा नहीं कि अपनी मर्जी से हमारा फ्यूचर डिसाइड कर देगी, राइट? हम लोग अपना फ्यूचर खुद डिसाइड करेंगे. अगर ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट कोई ऐसा डिसीजन लेती है, अगर अपनी मर्जी से कुछ डिक्लेयर कर देती है, then Nagas would not be bound to abide that decision, right? To accept that, we can say, decision. So this was the you can say, statement of the you can say Naga National Council leaders before the British Cabinet Mission at that time, right? So is it clear up to this point, Peter? Any problem to anybody? You can tell me.
No, sir.
Okay. So this was about this. These were the general things about this, right? So now we are moving on the important part, which is the Naga Insurgency, right? So Naga Insurgency, which is very important topic, right? Naga Insurgency, right? Naga Insurgency. So as far as this Naga Insurgency is concerned, right? So basically the main reason behind the Naga Insurgency is that Naga people are not happy with India, right? So it was their demand from the very beginning that they wanted a separate sovereign country for the Nagas, right? So that is the basic demand which is lying at the root level, right? So as we know, as we have already discussed, that British occupation of Naga inhabited territories started in 1826 and it was completed by 1891. Means in 19th century, the British government occupied the Naga inhabited territories in that region, right? So I think you remember this, right? So we can say before that, Naga tribes were, you can say, independent, right? So one thing is that before the British occupation, before the British occupation, Naga tribes were, before the British occupation, Naga tribes were, right? Occupation in 19th century, right? Naga tribes were independent, right? So Naga tribes were independent, right? And you can say when Assam was annexed by the British government, with that Nagas started losing their sovereignty, right? With the British occupation of Assam, Nagas started losing their sovereignty, right? So with the British occupation of Assam, with the British occupation of Assam, right? Nagas started losing their, right? Losing their sovereignty. Nagas started losing their sovereignty. So उनको लगा कि हम अपनी sovereignty lose कर रहे हैं, right? So and later on, by the end of the 19th century, they became the, you can say, British subjects, right? So by the end of the 19th century, they became British subjects also. Okay. By the end of 19th century, right, they became British subjects. They became British subjects. So this is a point, right? So we can say, as we have already discussed, that Nagas belong to a separate stock of people who are of the Indo-Mongoloid origin. We have already discussed that point, right? Indo-Mongoloid origin, right? So that is why the Nagas took themselves as a separate ethnic group. Right? This is their psychology, and actually they are, right? Nagas took themselves as a separate ethnic group. Ethnic group. वो अपने आप को एक separate ethnic group मानते हैं, right? और वो हैं, right? Separate ethnic group, right? So they think themselves, distinct from the rest of Indians, right? So they think themselves distinct from, distinct from, right? Distinct from the rest of Indians. So that is why वो अपने आप को rest of Indians से थोड़ा separate मानते हैं, right? Rest of Indians, right? So basically they are carrying on, right? Is it clear up to this point, beta? क्योंकि
Yes, sir. Yes.
क्योंकि बेटा जो भी प्रॉब्लम होती है, इंसर्जेंसी होती है, डिमांड फॉर सेपरेशन होती है, या कोई और रिवॉल्ट होता है, वो बेटा माइंड से निकलता है, वो कहीं और से नहीं निकलता. So that is why there are certain emotional, psychological issues, right? Right. So which remains, you can say, which remain unaddressed, right? And those lead to some revolt, some, we can say, separatist movement, etc., etc. Right. So that is why the same is here with the Naga people, right? So the next thing is that, right. The next thing here is that we can say they are carrying on a struggle. So they are carrying on a struggle since long, right? Carrying on a struggle, which they call Naga National Movement. इसको वो नागा नेशनल मूवमेंट कहते हैं, वो एक स्ट्रगल चला रहे हैं which they call Naga national movement, right? So their immediate aim is to get a greater Nagaland, right? Their immediate aim, right, aim is to get a greater Nagaland. वो लोग basically greater Nagaland चाहते हैं, greater land for Nagas, right? So let me show you the map. It will take 1 minute because I will have to visit the website, right? So to show you the map, right? Greater Nagaland ka. So we are reaching there, right? So let me show you. So beta, this is the, you can say, particular map of this greater Nagaland. I'm coming to that, you can say, point, right? Coming here. So is it visible to all of you? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
हाँ जी
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, so beta, this is that, you can say, map, right? So according to this, they demand the territory from Arunachal Pradesh. They demand the adjoining territory from the state of Assam. They demand the territory from, you can say, Manipur also, right? And they demand the territory from Myanmar also. So ये कहते हैं कि ये पूरी टेरिटरी को मर्ज करके हमें एक बड़ा नागालैंड दे दो, राइट? जिसको वो ग्रेटर नागालैंड कहते हैं, right? So it means the greater Nagaland, which is the demand of the, right? You can say Naga insurgent groups, right? That comprises of the part of Arunachal Pradesh, part of Assam, Manipur, and part of Myanmar as well, right? And Nagaland is there. That is there. Okay, so this is the map. So I hope आपको ये मालूम याद रहेगा, ठीक है? सो इसमें कौन कौन, देखो बेटा, वन थिंग
Yes,
टू
sir.
बी राइट, वन थिंग टू बी नोटेड है, इसमें त्रिपुरा का एरिया नहीं है, मेघालय का एरिया नहीं आ रहा इसमें, ठीक है? मिजोरम का एरिया नहीं आ रहा. सो ये आपके लिए इम्पोर्टेंट है जानना. Okay, so this is there. So now we are returning again to our discussion, right? So as far as that is concerned, right? So the immediate aim is to get the greater Nagaland, right? And the ultimate aim is to have a sovereign Naga state, right? And the ultimate aim is to have a, right? Their ultimate aim is to have a separate, we can say, right, Naga state, separate sovereign Naga state, we can say, right, separate sovereign Naga state. So they demand this, right, separate sovereign Naga state. They basically demand this, right? So they are waging this war since the beginning of the 20th century, right? So they are into war, right? So they are waging war for, right, waging war for their sovereign country, right? For their sovereign country, for their sovereign country, we can say, since the beginning of 19th century, right? Since the beginning of 19th century. So is it clear up to this point here? Since the beginning of 19th century. So ये तब से चाह रही है, right? So now beta, next time, as we have already discussed that the occupation of the Naga territories was finalized by the end of the 19th century, right, by the British government. So the Nagas were not happy with the British occupation of the Naga inhabited territories. So that is why we can say in 1918, right, in 1918, they formed an organization. उन्होंने एक organization form की called Naga Club. So that was the organization of Naga people, right, called Naga Club, right? So Naga Club resisted the British occupation of land of Nagas. Okay, so Naga Club, we can say, resisted the British occupation of the land of Nagas, right, land of Nagas. ठीक है, so भारत में बेटा एक कश्मीर नहीं है, भारत में ऐसे बहुत सारे कश्मीर हैं, right, means जहाँ कश्मीर जैसी सिचुएशन है, right, so नॉर्थ ईस्ट में देखो कितनी स्टेट्स हैं जहाँ ऐसी प्रॉब्लम्स चल रही है, right, so we can say that is there, right, and even the Naga Club, right, even the representatives of right, representatives of Naga Club, even the representatives of Naga Club, we can say, appeared before the Simon Commission. वो Simon Commission के आगे appear हुए, right, and they we can say they plead for self-determination. They plead for self-determination after the British departure. वो कहते कि जब अंग्रेज भारत को छोड़ के जाएंगे तब कहते हमें सेल्फ डिटर्मिनेशन का राइट जरूर दे देना कि हम अपना खुद सोचेंगे, राइट, कि हमने क्या करना है, हमने किधर जाना है, हमने भारत में रहना है या नहीं रहना, हमें इंडिपेंडेंट कंट्री चाहिए या क्या नहीं चाहिए. सो साइमन कमीशन के सामने भी उनकी स्टेटमेंट यही थी कि इट मीन्स दे नेवर एडमिटेड टू बी right, you can say, with India, right? It means they were not happy with that. So that is why even they pleaded before the Simon Commission that they should be given the right of self-determination after the British, you can say, leave the country, right? So that was basically there, right? So beta the things kept on moving like this, right? And then what happened beta? In 1946, right? In 1946, then what happened? Right? A Naga leader, A.Z. Fizo, right? A.Z. Fizo, right? जैसे बेटा कल हमने बात की थी लाल डेंगा की मिजोरम की है, so वैसे ही A.Z. Fizo थी, right? So A.Z. Fizo formed a group called Naga National Council. हमने बात की थी ना अभी पीछे Naga National Council. So A.Z. Fizo formed a group called Naga National Council. It was formed in the year 1946, right? And this group, which is called the NNC, जिसको मैं आगे लिखूंगा NNC, right? So NNC replaced the Naga Council. अब वो जो पहले Naga Club था वो खत्म हो गया, right? So NNC उसकी जगह पे replaced the Naga Club, right? उसकी जगह पे NNC एक नया ग्रुप बन के आ गया, right? So in 1947, when India got independence, right? So NNC demanded, we can say, right, a sovereign state of Naga, a sovereign state, right, for Nagas, वो कहते कि आप हमें एक आजाद मुल्क दे दो। पहले एनएनसी ने मेमोरेंडम दिया नेहरू को, नेहरू से बातचीत हुई, दे मे नॉट बी हैप्पी विद दैट, राइट, जो भी था, तो क्योंकि उसमें उनकी कंडीशंस थी। सो देन 1947 में उन्होंने अपनी एक सॉवरेन स्टेट की डिमांड रख दी थी, राइट, एंड but this demand didn't get, you can say, fulfilled, right? And beta, it is said, right, आपको इसको कहीं मेंशन करने की जरूरत नहीं है क्योंकि ये ऑफिशियल नहीं है, राइट? सो इट इज सेड, यहाँ मैं अनऑफिशियली कह देता हूँ, राइट, unofficially, right, that in 1951, right, so AZ Fizo, right, we can say AZ Fizo organization, Fizo's organization, which is the NNC, right? So organization, right, so you can say held a referendum there, and in that 99% of Naga people, right, Naga people voted for independence. So ये अब नहीं पता कि ये जो referendum था, was it fair or not fair, right? So we can't say about that, right? Because this is the unofficial referendum, right? So we cannot say that it was fair, right? Maybe it at the gunpoint also. We can't say, right? We have no, you can say authentic information to comment on this, right? So that is why. But this is you can say a news, right? That this happened there, right? So now, then what happened in 1956, right? In 1956, right? So AZ Fizo, right? In 1956, AZ Fizo formed, you can say, Naga federal government. उसने अपनी गवर्नमेंट ही बना दी, right? Naga federal government and underground government, because ये legitimate नहीं थी, right? And underground government उसने बना दी, right? And underground government उसने बना दी, right? And the Naga Federal Army also, एक उसने अपनी आर्मी भी बना दी, right? Naga Federal Army also. So ये AZ Fizo ने कर दिया 1956 में, right? So then what happened? Government of India retaliated by sending the army, जैसे मिजोरम में हुआ था, right? So Government of India retaliated by sending the army, right? Government of India को अपनी आर्मी वहाँ भेजने की जरूरत पड़ी, right? Retaliated by sending the army, right? And in 1958, we can say SPA, right? Armed Forces Special Powers Act was 1958 was, we can say, enacted and imposed. So imposed. आपको मालूम होगा, हमने पहले बात की थी कि Armed Forces Special Powers Act was enacted in the year 1958, right? So 1958 में उसको पास किया and उसको नागालैंड भी implement किया, right? So because तब जरूरत बन गई थी, right? So we can say then what happened, right? So in in the past days, you can say, right? So in the past day, an agreement was signed by the governor of the, we can say, right, Assam state, a peace agreement with the moderate Nagas, right, in 1947, because at that time they were demanding this, right? So an agreement was signed, but that agreement was not acceptable to, you can say, Fizo, right? So Fizo did not accept it. So, and then what happened in 1963, as we have already told, discussed, right? In 1963, Naga Hill district, right? Naga Hills district of Assam, we can say, was made a state called Nagaland. उसको एलिवेट करके नागालैंड बना दिया गया, राइट, एक स्टेट बना दी गई. एंड दिस वाज ए पीस जेस्चर फ्रॉम द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया and to give Nagas a separate identity, right? So this was a peace gesture basically, right? This was a peace gesture from the government of India, right? From the government of India, and an effort to, right? From the government of India, and an effort to give, right, Nagas a separate identity. So Nagas को एक separate identity देने के लिए और एक peace gesture दिखाया गया ये गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया की तरफ से, right? So नागालैंड को स्टेट बनाया गया, right? That is there, right? So then you can say in 1964, right? In 1964, a peace mission was formed, right? So in 1964, we can say a peace mission was formed. A peace mission was formed, right? A peace mission बनाया गया. The mission was, right, formed, and the mission was headed by, right, headed by Jayaprakash Narayan. Jayaprakash Narayan, right? Narayan. So, and two others were there. Others were there in the mission, right? So एक मिशन बनाया गया नागा से बातचीत करने के लिए, राइट? सो उस रीजन में जो पीस थी उसको रिस्टोर करने के लिए ये एक मिशन बनाया गया, राइट? सो 1946 के, राइट? सो द मिशन brought
सर पीस मिशन 1946 तक ना के 64
64 I'm wrong here, right?
ओके सर,
मैंने लिखा तो 64 ही. In 1964 the peace mission was you can say formed, right? So it brought both the government of India and Naga leaders. It brought both the government of India and Naga leaders, right? Naga leaders, we can say, right, on board, and a, you can say, peace accord was signed, and a peace accord was signed. So a peace accord signed हो गया था उस time, right? And a peace accord was signed, right? But even despite signing the peace accord, right, the Fizo even, but after that also, ऐसा लिख लेते हैं, but after that also we can say the Fizo-led organization, right? The Fizo-led organization did not, right, did not suspend suspend, we can say, right? Violent activities or violence, right? They did not suspend violence. They kept on carrying the violence, right? So the violent activities, right? So we can say the mission was abandoned. So the mission was abandoned. इसकी गवर्नमेंट को भी उसको छोड़ना पड़ा. Mission was abandoned, and the counter insurgency operation was launched. So government को भी उनके against operation launch करना पड़ा. Right? Counter insurgency operation was launched. Right? Operation was launched. Right? So this was there. So counter-insurgency operation was launched, right? So the things kept on moving like this, right? And then in 1975, right, a Shillong Accord was signed. Shillong Accord, right? So Shillong Accord was signed. So we are just entering into this Shillong Accord, right? So Shillong Accord was signed between. It was signed between NNC leaders, we can say, right, and the central government and the government of India. So इनके बीच में ये accord sign किया गया था, right? So this accord basically, right, this accord led to the fall of NNC and AZ FISO, right? NNC and we can say and AZ FISO and AZ FISO died in London in 1991, right? उसकी death हो जाती है बाद में 1991. So ये November 1975 में sign हुआ था, right? So you can say as a result of this agreement, right? As a result of this agreement, NNC and the Naga federal government, NFA, जो हमने ऊपर बात की, right? Agreed to give up arms. उन्होंने agree कर लिया कि हम अब violence नहीं करेंगे, right? Give up arms, right? So this happened there, right? To give up arms, right? So अब basically इनके ऊपर एक बहुत बड़ा क्वेश्चन मार्क लग गया कि कल तो आप बात करते थे एक सॉवरेन नागा स्टेट की, कल तो आप बात करते थे नागालैंड की इंडिपेंडेंस की. सो आज आपने शिलोंग में बैठ के एक ऐसा एग्रीमेंट कर लिया जिसके तहत आपने मान लिया कि हम भारत में रहेंगे और हम किसी किस्म की कोई वायलेंस भी नहीं करेंगे. सो इनके ऊपर एक बहुत बड़ा क्वेश्चन मार्क लग गया कि दे हैव, राइट, यू कैन से they have they betrayed the Naga people, right? Because they were leading a movement of the Nagas, right, for the last approximately 3 decades, right? Approximately 3 decades, right? And the Naga people supported them to fight the war, right? And ultimately, they, you can say, right, sit in Shillong, right? They, you can say, sat in Shillong and with the representatives of the government of India, right, and didn't know that what negotiation took place there, and they decided to give up the, you can say, arms, right, and they, you can say, left the demand for even sovereign Nagaland state. So this led to the fall of the this Naga National Council, right? So this is there. Is it clear up to this point, beta?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yes.
Okay. So now beta, next to this, what happened, right? So after this, right, after this Shillong Accord, right, another organization called NSCN was formed, right? Naga Socialist Council, National Socialist Council of Nagaland. National Socialist Council of Nagaland. Right? So NSCN was formed. तो ये एक नई ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बन गई, राइट? वो कहते कि फीसो दे तो ऐसा कर दिया, लेकिन अब हम देखेंगे, राइट? सो दिस न्यू ऑर्गेनाइजेशन came into existence at that time, right? So basically you can say this organization was led by you can say Muiva, M-U-I-W-A-H. Muiva was one leader, right? Muiva. And the second was, we can say, Isaac, I-S-A-K, right? Isaac, we can say, right? And third was S.S. Kaplan, right? Kaplan, third was there, right? S.S. Kaplan was there, right? So this organization was formed, right? Isaac J.C. Sidhu कहते हैं इसको, ICS, Isaac J.C. Sidhu. So these were the three leaders, right, who formed at that time this NSCN, means National Socialist Council of Nagaland, right? To form this. Okay, so we can say this organization took the responsibility to further the issue of independent Naga state, right? This organization took responsibility to further the issue of independent Naga state. So ये कहते हैं कि अब हम रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी लेते हैं, हम आपको सेपरेट नागा स्टेट बना के दिखाएंगे, right? So you can say this group also formed an underground government with both civil and military wings, right? So NSCN also formed, right? Underground government with separate, you can see, civil and military wings, right? So इन्होंने भी अपने एक underground government बनाया, civil and military wings, right? So इन्होंने भी ऐसा किया, civil and military wings. So it was formed there, right? So its immediate demand was Greater Nagaland. So they were having the one was their immediate demand. Okay, immediately, right? Immediate demand. And the second was their ultimate demand. So they were having like this, right? Second was their ultimate demand, right? Ultimate demand, right? So as far as the immediate demand is concerned, that was to have a state called Greater Nagaland, right, within India. पहले तो वो कहते हमें आप ये स्टेट दे दो, Greater Nagaland, right? And their ultimate demand was after getting the Greater Nagaland, then to proceed for independence of Greater Nagaland. फिर कहते हम Greater Nagaland की independence के लिए फाइट करें. So इस तरीके से कहते हम इसको separate कर लेंगे, right? Great. So that was their basic thing, right? That was their basic thing. Okay. So then what happened? By the year 1980, right? By the year, in 1980, because ये जो NSCN थी, this was formed in 1980. You must bear this in mind. Nationalist Socialist Council of Nagaland was formed in 1980, right? So 1980 से ये 1980 से ये ऑपरेट करती रही till 1988, right? And in 1988 this NSCN was divided, right? So we can say division occurred in, right? Division क्योंकि कुछ differences आ जाते हैं. Division occurred in, we can say, NSCN in 1988. In 1988, because Nagas की ये history रही है, because Naga people हैं जो, they are divided into various tribes, right? So that is why there is the fight for dominance, right? There are some other issues, right? So that is why the Naga society always remained divided, right, among the clans and tribal lines, right, on the clan and tribal lines. So ये हमेशा divided रही है. So that is why here also the differences grows among the leaders of the nationalist, we can say, National Socialist Council of this Nagaland, right, NSCN वहाँ हो गया था. And उससे बेटा क्या हुआ कि NSCN was divided into two. One group is called NSCN, right? IM, right? Isaac Moiva group, right? And second is called beta. That is called the NSCN. K means Kaplan group. वो तीन लीडर थे ना, उन तीनों लीडर ने सेपरेट होकर ये दो ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस बना ली. इसाक एंड मोइवा एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में, and Kaplan ने अपनी एक separate organization, right? So basically, what is the problem? The problem was that Isaac and Muiva belong to Tangkul tribe of Nagas, right? Right, and you can say the majority cadre means workers in the NSCN. Those were from the right majority tribal group of Nagas, which is that is the Konyaks, right? So there was the dissatisfaction that the majority cadre belonged to the Konyak Naga tribal group, right? And the leaders who are leading it, they are the Isaac and Muiva, who belong to the, you can say, Tangkul tribe, right? So that is why there was the dissatisfaction among the cadres, right? And that led to the bifurcation of this group, right? That led to the bifurcation of this group, right? So this is there, right? So because and second major difference था जो, that was the difference among the leaders, right, on the issue of negotiations with the government of India, right? एक ये भी difference arose हुए, differences among the leaders, right, among the leaders on the issue of negotiations with the government of India, right? Negotiations with the government of India. So इस बात पे भी इनकी issue पैदा हो गई. So that is why वो लोग separate हो गए और दो
Excuse me, sir.
organizations. Yes.
Sir, first reason दोबारा दस दो थोड़ा.
First reason was that the NSCN before the division, right? The NSCN के देखो किसी भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अंदर क्या होता है, एक तो बॉटम पे लोग होते हैं, राइट? जो लोग बॉटम पे होते हैं वो लोगों को हम कहते हैं कि उनका कैडर है, राइट? एक तो यार ये कैडर होता है जो लोग बॉटम पे बैठे होते हैं, राइट? और ये ग्राउंड लेवल पे काम करते हैं, राइट? ये कैडर रखवाता है, राइट? सो एक तरफ तो ये कैडर था जो बॉटम पे काम करने वाले थे, राइट? सो ये जो कैडर था, राइट? सो द कैडर वाज, राइट, द कैडर वाज, वी कैन से कोनियक मेजॉरिटी पीपल, राइट? कोनियक मेजॉरिटी मीन्स इसमें जो कोनियक नागा ट्राइब है, राइट? सो वो लोग थे, क्योंकि कोनियक से मेजॉरिटी ग्रुप ऑब्वियसली कैडर में भी कोनिक ट्राइबल्स का होना स्वाभाविक, राइट। एंड ऊपर जो बैठे थे, राइट, ऊपर जो बैठे थे, राइट, दैट वाज देयर, वी कैन से ये जो लीडर थे, दीज वर द नॉन कोनिक। ओके, एक तो ऊपर इसाक बैठा था, राइट, इसाक बैठा था, राइट, इसाक वाज नॉन कोनिक। एक ऊपर मुइवा बैठा था, मुइवा वाज नॉन कोनिक, और एक ऊपर बैठा था कैपलैंग, कैपलैंग वाज आल्सो नॉन कोनिक, राइट। सो ये कैपलैंग ग्रुप का
Yes,
था,
sir. Okay,
राइट,
sir.
राइट, यस। एंड ये थे मतलब तांगकुल मेजॉरिटी, सॉरी, तांगकुल ग्रुप के लोग, राइट। So that is why the cadre was dissatisfied. That we can say we are the majority Naga tribe, right? But we are led by, right, a Naga tribe which is not in majority, by the leaders from those Naga tribes with, right? So which tribes are not in majority. So that is why there was a dissatisfaction. So ultimately क्या हुआ कि ये जो दोनों तंगखुल लीडर थे, तंगखुल, इसाक एंड मुइवा, ये दोनों सेपरेट हो गए। एंड कैपलैंग ने, यू कैन से, कैपलैंग ने मतलब कोनियक लीडर्स के साथ मिलकर के एक सेपरेट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एनएससीएन कैपलैंग बन गई, और एक एनएससीएन इसाक मुइवा बन गया। सो ये डिवीजन थी इसमें, राइट। इज इट क्लियर नाउ?
Yes, sir.
So that was basically there, right? So now what happened now, because Kaplang is living in Myanmar, right? And that is why Kaplang is operating the organization from Myanmar, right? Kaplang is operating the organization, right? Is operating the organization from Myanmar. ये म्यांमार से ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को ऑपरेट कर रहा है, राइट, क्योंकि ये बेसिकली वहां का है। सो दैट इज व्हाई द मेन ग्रुप, राइट, according to the agencies, according to the government, the main group in India, that is the largest group, that is NSCN-IM, means इसाक मुइवा का ग्रुप है जो लार्जेस्ट ग्रुप रह गया भारत में, right? So you can say with demand for greater Nagaland, right? So NSCN-IM with demand for greater Nagaland, right? NSCN-IM, right? Emerged as, right? Emerged as a, right? Emerged as the largest insurgent. Emerged as the largest insurgent. ये एक largest insurgent बन के इमर्ज हुआ, largest insurgent group और outfit कह सकते हैं हम, outfit in Nagaland. ये एक सबसे बड़ा ग्रुप बन के इमर्ज हुआ, right? In Nagaland we can say, right? So in 1997 it entered into a ceasefire agreement with the government of India, right? In 1997, right, it entered into a ceasefire agreement with the government of India. So इन्होंने government of India के साथ एक agreement sign कर दिया with government of India, right? So it continued, ceasefire continued, and in 2007 for 10 years किया था पहले, and in 2007 the ceasefire was extended, you can say extended indefinitely, right? So ceasefire को further extend कर दिया, right? Was extended indefinitely, means for an indefinite period it was extended there, the ceasefire was extended, right? So the next thing is that, right, you can say now the Kaplan group, I have told you that Kaplan group is operating from the Myanmar, right? So the things you can say kept on moving like that. And as far as the Kaplan group is concerned, right? As far as the Kaplan group is concerned, we can say, right? So you can say the Kaplan group means NSCN-K, right? K. This is also an insurgent group, right? An insurgent group of Nagas, right? And this group and attacked India's security forces. इसने कई बार इंडिया की सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस के ऊपर अटैक भी किया, राइट? क्योंकि उन्होंने तो सीज फायर कर ली लेकिन इसने अभी नहीं की थी, राइट? सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस के ऊपर इसने अटैक भी की इस ग्रुप ने, राइट? सो देन it signed a ceasefire with India in 2001, right? It signed a ceasefire with India in 2001 and you can say broke it unilaterally, फिर अपनी मर्जी से इसने उसको तोड़ दिया, right? Unilaterally in 2015. So ceasefire करके 2015 में आके इसने withdraw कर लिया ये जो ceasefire थी, right? And then what happened in 2015? In 2015, a new Naga faction was emerged. In 2015, a new Naga faction, called we can say, right? NSCNR, right? NSCNR was formed, right? Was formed. एक नया group बन गया, right? Now this group is also in ceasefire agreement with the center. Now this group is also in ceasefire agreement with the center, right? अब ये भी ceasefire agreement किए बैठे हैं center के साथ, right? So now the next thing is that in between, from the formation of the this NSCN, right, National Socialist Council of Nagaland in 1980, and their bifurcation in 1988, right? Since then, many peace initiatives have been undertaken by the government of India, right? And many times you can say the prime ministers of India, right, had met the leaders of this NSCN, right, in the foreign countries, right? Like we can say, right, in 1995, because what happened, the leaders, like we can say Isaac Muiva, right, fled from the country. They, you can say, took shelter in some other countries, like Muiva kept on operating from Thailand also, right? And we can say that Kaplan is already sitting in the Myanmar, right? So that is why even the government, right, tried its best to, you can say, to maintain a link with those leaders, right? And as a result, we can say in 1995, India's Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao, right? So met the you can say leaders, we can say, in Paris, right? So वो Paris जाकर के मिले उनको leaders को, right? And in 1997, Indian Prime Minister Deve Gowda also met the leaders in, we can say, Zurich in Switzerland, वहाँ मिले. And after that, in 1998, India's Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee also met the Naga leaders in Paris, right? So it means the government of India is, you can say, doing serious efforts to, you can say, right, resolve this issue, right? So even Indian prime ministers kept on meeting the Naga leaders on the foreign lands also, right, which include in, you can say, Paris, in Switzerland, etc., etc., right? They kept on meeting those leaders, right? So ultimately, Prime Minister Modi government in 2015, right, signed a peace accord with ultimately, right? So ultimately, in 2015, I think in the month of November, right? The Modi-led government, right? Prime Minister Modi-led government entered into a peace agreement, right? Entered into a peace agreement with NSCN के साथ में IM. So इनके साथ इन्होंने peace agreement कर लिया था 2015 में, right? They entered into this, right? So this peace agreement was brokered by, right? The peace agreement was brokered by, right? The peace agreement was, we can say, brokered by R.N. Ravi, right? R.N. Ravi, right? So R.N. Ravi, right, in reward of you can say brokering this peace agreement between the Naga leaders, right? So he was made governor of Nagaland also. उसको फिर नागालैंड का गवर्नर बनाया था, governor of Nagaland also, and he is the current governor of the state, and he is the current governor of the state. वो आज state का governor है वहाँ का, right? Current governor of the state, right? Of the state, right? So in 2015, the peace accord, actually this was a framework agreement. फ्रेमवर्क एग्रीमेंट का मतलब ये था कि ये एक उन्होंने फ्रेमवर्क तैयार कर लिया कि हम एक फाइनल एग्रीमेंट पे हम पहुंचेंगे, लेकिन विद इन दिस फ्रेमवर्क, राइट, द थिंग्स विल बी, यू कैन से, फाइनलाइज्ड. तो वो जो फाइनल एग्रीमेंट है वो अभी होगा बाद में, राइट? सो वो फ्रेमवर्क एग्रीमेंट पे ही अभी तक बात अटकी हुई है. उसके बाद जो फाइनल एग्रीमेंट है वो नहीं हो पाया अभी तक गवर्नमेंट का. The reason being, at that time also I wrote for some magazine that you can say कि only and only इसाक मोइवा group के साथ आप बात को finalize कर लेते हो, and you cannot say that this is the victory of the government, because there are many other groups also of Naga rebels, right, which are, you can say, operating there, right? And सबसे बड़ा ग्रुप तो एक इसाक मोइवा के बाद जो बड़ा ग्रुप तो कैप्लैन का बैठा है, राइट? और उसका भी कैडर है जो कि इंडिया में काम कर रहा है. जब तक आप कैप्लैन को आप कॉन्फिडेंस में नहीं लेते तब तक मतलब कैसे आप यहाँ पीस का आप रिवाइवल कर सकते हो. एंड कुछ और ग्रुप्स हैं जो फॉर्म हो गए, वहाँ बहुत सारे ग्रुप्स इस टाइम ऑपरेट कर रहे हैं. सो यू मस्ट हैव टू टेक इनटू कॉन्फिडेंस all those groups, right? So only right, if you sit on table with the leaders of this NSC and ISAC Moiva leaders, so that will not be enough to restore peace in the, you can say, with the state, until and unless the other groups are also not brought on the same page, right? So that is why you can say, so that agreement which was signed between the government of India and the Naga leaders, that is NSC and IM, right? So that is the framework agreement only, and so far no final agreement has been concluded, right, by the authorities yet, right? So though the government is making its, you can say, government is making its constant efforts, right, for this, you can say, right? So beta, that is why there is you can say this is important in this context, right, to know and to, you can say, remember, right? So we can say and now again the government, right, you can say, hold discussions in the recent past also with the Naga leaders, but so far nothing concrete had, you can say, come out from the talks. And let us see, right, in which direction the negotiation will move in future, right? Let us hope for the best. Let us hope for the revival of the peace, right? In the interest of the Nagas, in the interest of the country, in the interest of the society, and in the interest of all, you can say like that, right? So better, this is the whole problem, right? So now, if you want to ask anything for me on this issue, you can ask me, right? Hello.
No,
It's
sir.
clear, sir.
Sir, it is clear.
Okay.